In the distant past, there was a young lady by the name of Lena who lived in a quaint, long-lost hamlet that was tucked away in the midst of foggy mountains. Her body was coated in a thick coating of fur that made her seem like something out of a fantastic story. She was strange from the time she was born. Chewbacca Girl was a nasty moniker that was given to her by the townspeople, including her classmates at school. This term followed her about like a mist. A family who was having trouble making money meet had 15 children, and Lena was the 15th kid. Outside of the confines of their modest house, the world was not as nice as it was within. Her siblings adored her without condition. Going to school was a struggle on a daily basis. It was whispers that went into laughter, laughter that turned into insults, and taunts that led to seclusion. In spite of the fact that she often went home with tears in her eyes, she had a strong and tenacious attitude on the inside. Lena refused to be broken, despite the suffering that she was experiencing. Assisting her mother in the kitchen, playing hide-and-seek with her younger brothers, and most importantly, dreaming were all activities that brought her a great deal of pride and happiness. Her ideal existence would be one in which people could see beyond her fur and in which she would be able to enter a room without feeling like a crowd of people watching her. On that tragic evening, her father made a choice that was very difficult to make. He used an outdated phone and a weak voice to film a touching video of Lena, in which he gave an explanation of her illness and the struggles that the family was going through. His hope was that someone, somewhere, would take notice of it, and he posted it to social media platforms. In the beginning, there was no action. It was days before, in weeks. Then, seemingly out of nowhere, the footage suddenly burst. In addition to being shown on worldwide television, it was also broadcast on social media and news stations. The tale that Lena told enthralled people all across the globe. Famous people spread the word about it, influential people blogged about it on social media, and millions of people who had never met offered words of love and support. It was then that they were surprised by a miracle that they had not anticipated. A well-known dermatologist from the United States, named Dr. Emily Carter, volunteered to treat Lena without charging her. Lena and her father were boarded an aircraft within a matter of weeks, an event that was akin to entering a dream. It was her first time traveling outside of the town, her first time seeing tall buildings, and her first time coming to the realization that maybe, just perhaps, her life was going to undergo a transformation that would last a lifetime. The procedure was drawn out and very unpleasant. Hormone treatment, laser procedures, and surgical procedures were all operations that Lena endured. However, she persevered through it all with a grin on her face and her optimism intact. After a period of 5 months, the change was very remarkable. Upon Lena's return to her residence, she was completely unrecognizable. Her face, which had been concealed by layers of fur in the past, suddenly became brilliant and flawless. She had eyes that were once filled with grief, but now they glittered with confidence. It was the first time in her life that she experienced stillness as she stepped through the school gates. She had been ridiculed for years. What followed was an occurrence that was not anticipated. A young man called Marcus, who had been one of her previous bullies, walked up, his cheeks flushed with humiliation the whole time. After taking a few long breaths, he eventually murmured, "I'm sorry." A response of fury may have been possible for Lena, who was astonished. She had the ability to bring to his attention all of the suffering that he had inflicted. However, she chose to grin instead. "I am able to forgive you." Not only did her narrative alter her life, but it also altered the lives of everyone else who was in her immediate vicinity. As a result of her tremendous strength, the town that had previously made fun of her is now celebrating her. Her school extended an invitation to her to share her experience, and as a result, she became an advocate for children who are victims of bullying and ailments that are uncommon. On the other hand, the most shocking outcome was yet to come. One morning, she received a letter that was shrouded in mystery at her residence. It came from a researcher who had been keeping himself updated on her situation. He was of the opinion that her ailment was not only a random disorder. Rather, it was something far more significant, something hereditary, and something that had the potential to usher in a new era of therapeutic advancements. It wasn't only that Lena was exceptional, the answer to a medical puzzle that may be of assistance to thousands, or perhaps millions, of people all around the globe could very well be found in her. Therefore, the beginning of her narrative had just begun just now. The girl who was once referred to as Chewbacca would be remembered not for her appearance, but rather for the triumphs she achieved. The writing on the letter was slightly smeared by Lena's fingers as she held it in her quivering palms before her. Alistair Novak, a geneticist who has spent decades investigating unusual illnesses, was the one who sent it. He is a world-renowned academic. A shiver ran down her spine as she listened to his words. The disease that you have, Lena, is more than simply an abnormality. It may be the key to unlocking genetic riddles that we have not yet known about. Additionally, I would want to meet with you and perform additional research if you are willing to do so. Not only may this improve your life, but it could also change the lives of millions of other people. Various feelings were whirling about in Lena's head. For many years, she had been under the impression that her condition was a curse and something that needed to be fixed. But now, is it possible that it is something really extraordinary? Lena took the courageous choice to fly once again, this time to Switzerland, where Dr. Novak worked at a cutting-edge research center. This decision was taken after Lena had discussed the matter with her family. This new experience was joined by her father, who was both anxious and proud of his daughter. During her time at the research institution, Lena was subjected to a battery of examinations, including blood testing, genetic sequencing, and even very sophisticated scans that mapped her DNA in ways that had never been done before. They were putting together pieces of her life that she had not even known about, and she felt as though she was a living jigsaw. In the end, after many weeks of investigation, Dr. Novak invited her to come into his office. Although he was laying out the data, his eyes were filled with amazement and delight. Lena, until date, we have only seen this unusual genetic signature in mythology. Yet your DNA has it. It's not only that your body is growing an excessive amount of hair, it's also exhibiting symptoms of an old gene that doctors believed had died out thousands of years ago. Blinking, Lena did so. Is that an ancient gene? She inquired, bewildered. The Dr. Novak nodded. People in ancient civilizations are said to have had extraordinary endurance, heightened senses, and a special connection to the natural world, according to legendary accounts. It's possible that your DNA are a relic of that misplaced ancestry. It is conceivable that your predecessors had powers that we don't even have the capacity to fathom. Lena's heart was beating rapidly. If this is the case, then it is possible. Perhaps she has the genetic relics of a long-lost people from the past. But just when she was beginning to make sense of everything, she was slammed with yet another discovery like a typhoon. A cautious Lena, Dr. Novak added, "We discovered something else. Similar to you, there are other people. The number is little, yet they are dispersed all over the whole planet." Her chest tightened up and she was unable to breathe. "You are not alone." Dr. Novak disclosed that there were at least 5 more individuals who had identical genetic markers. These individuals were born with peculiar characteristics that were incongruous with the advancements of contemporary science. Fear had caused some to withdraw within themselves, while others had made an effort to lead regular lives despite the fact that they were different. However, now that an investigation into Lena's case had been made public, they were starting to come forward. She claimed to have an inexplicable capacity for endurance and resilience to cold, and she was a girl from Tibet. She had been nurtured in the highlands. A further individual, a little child from Brazil, with enhanced senses and night vision that defied the rationale of medical science. The way that Lena's narrative had been told seemed to have opened a door to something that was far more significant than herself. The voice of Dr. Novak continued to be solemn as he leaned forward. "To put it simply, Lena, we are on the threshold of something very remarkable. It is necessary for us to gather all of you together. It is possible that we will find something that mankind has forgotten if we are able to comprehend the link that exists between you. Either that, or something that it was never intended to carry with it. An effort was made by Lena to swallow. At the beginning of her quest, she had experienced suffering and isolation. But now she was standing on the precipice of a significant mystery, one that had the potential to rewrite the historical record. Everything will be different as a result of what happens next. A meeting with the other people was agreed to by Lena. She was getting ready for what was about to happen next, and her heart was pounding. She had spent the most of her life being referred to as a monster, dubbed an outcast, and considered a joke. Now, however, what? Suddenly, she had a reason to exist. Looking out the window, she caught a glimpse of her own reflection as she boarded the jet to go to a hidden place where the others would be gathered. For the very first time, she did not only see a girl who had been ridiculed and bullied over her appearance. She saw a fighter, a person who had survived the key to unlocking the past. Furthermore, she was well aware that the beginning of her narrative had not yet come.